Okay, everybody, so from your Design Space homepage, go ahead and hit the plus sign for new project to get a blank canvas. And then you're going to go to your shapes and enter a square. Unlock the dimensions of that square, and we're going to make the square 6.75. Maybe if I take some of those out. Okay, 6.75 by 9.25, and that is the printing limitation for Cricut Design Space. And we're going to start this over because I wasn't doing that even on the right damn shape. Okay, unlock 6.75 by 9.25. I have no idea how I was picking up all that other stuff. Alright, change it to white so you can see. And then what I'm going to do is upload the photos that I will be using. So you go to upload and then just select the images that you want to use. These are two of the images that I'll be using. And then you can just size it down to a more appropriate size. We're working with Shrinky Dinks today, which are going to shrink down to about 1/3 of what your original size is. So I'm going to just exit out of these, and I'm going to bring up the images that I used, and I already sized these so that they fit perfectly into this white. You see that? So I know that they're all going to be able to print with no problems because they fit within this square that we created. And that just helps us make sure that we're within our parameters for printing with Cricut Design Space. So I can get rid of the square. And these are all at a proportion that when they shrink, like I said, they'll be 1/3 of their original size. So you have to make them as big as you need them to be. Okay? Now, keep in mind also that with Shrinky Dinks, the images print very dark. So if you want your image to not be dark after they shrink down, then you want to lighten your image prior to printing it. So I'm going to hit make. This shows me what it's going to look like on my Shrinky Dink paper once I print it. And then hit continue. Now pay special attention to this portion here because you will need to go in and change the settings on your Cricut machine. I'm using a Cricut Maker. So there is a option for plastic canvas with Cricut Maker, but even so I'm still going to need. So this is the paper that I'm using. It's Inkjet Shrinky Dinks. I purchased this from Michael's, and this is when they had the 20% off your total purchase. But you can also purchase these from Amazon, and I will go ahead and link them below. Just having a bit of a time trying to open them with my one hand. So you can print on both sides of these according to the package. So let me go ahead and just get this open. Okay, got it open. It's just a piece of plastic. You can hear that it's kind of hard. I'm going to go ahead and load this into my printer. I'm using an HP OfficeJet 8610. That's what I use for all my regular printing. Anything that's not going to be sublimation. And we'll go ahead and get that printed out. Alright, so we have everything printed out on our transparency sheet. The ink is very wet, and so what I'm going to do is, making sure that I hold it far away from the film, I'm just going to take my heat gun and just kind of go over it. Not too much because I don't want it to start to shrink. Okay, I did a little bit before I turned the camera on as well. So just going to test over here in the corner. And I don't see, well, I see some smudging, but it's not as bad as it was when I first took it off. So we'll just let this dry a little bit first. And I don't want to have any smudging. And then after it's dry, then we'll go ahead and load it and get it cut. Alright, I let it dry some more, and then I ran the heat gun over it again. Hopefully it's dry enough, but y'all know I am super impatient. I can never wait. Especially when I'm doing videos, because I've taken so much time off when my grandmother passed that I've missed out on making a lot of videos for you guys. So let's go ahead and get this put into our Cricut machine. I'm going to go ahead and load it. We already have it set at plastic canvas, and I'm not sure if I'm going to change it to like a different blade. I think I'm just going to use the same blade that I've been using. Alright, we're going to go ahead and load this. Make sure that you're loading your paper the same way that it shows on your screen. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and hit cut and cut that out. Alright, so after you print everything out, the ink is going to be very wet. So you want to let it dry thoroughly so that there's no smudging. I'm impatient as hell, so I couldn't wait for it to dry. I used my heat embossing tool to just go over it, and once it wasn't smearing as much, then I went ahead and put it into the Cricut Maker. The ink does kind of still stay wet though, so if you noticed, it's been a while, it's still smudging a little bit, so you just want to be very, very careful with that. So by changing the settings and my blade to a deep cut blade, this time I was able to get the shapes cut out. I had run it through the machine a few times previously with the settings at the default settings for the plastic canvas, and it did not want to cut. So after I changed the pressure to 340 and then changed to my deep cut blade, and you can see that it's cutting out just fine out of that plastic. So what I'm doing is I'm just going in carefully to remove the negative pieces that we don't need. And then we'll go about shrinking our plastic and sealing it. Okay, so I'll be right back. Alright, got everything taken off of the mat. I'm not sure why, but I lost one of the lemons on that Melon and Maid design, but that's okay. So what I have is just a little glass dish that I picked up from the 99-cent store. And this is what I'm going to put my items in so that I can go ahead and shrink them down. Now, I could very well take my lazy butt downstairs and put them in the oven. However, I try to just stay up here when I'm working and not have to do too much back and forth, because I get distracted and then sometimes I'll never make it back. Alright, so let's go ahead and make sure that before we shrink any of the pieces down, that we put our holes in them that we want for, because once you shrink them, you're not going to be able to easily do that. So let me find my hole punch. Alright, so I got my hole punch, and then just remove the sticker from the inside of that glass. So I'm going to get both of these, and I want to kind of see if I can maybe get the hole in the same place. So I'm just stack them together like that on top of each other. And then which hole do I want to use? I think I want to use this one. So this is just a hole punch. And where do I think would be a good place? Probably, I don't know, I'd say about there. Okay, then you can see I got my hole. And then I'm going to do the same for these other ones. Just try to think of where would be a good place to put it. Should have made a space above this so that I could put it without it going into any of the words, but that's okay. And that one's a little close to the edge. This one, I lost one of my lemons. Not really sure what happened with that one, but that's okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and punch a hole in it. You guys get the idea. All right. So what I'm gonna do, move these over to the side. I'm gonna put my piece here into the glass dish. And then I have my little, what is this, like an embossing tool. And what I'm gonna do is, using my heat gun, I'm gonna shrink this plastic down, okay? And then this will be here just so that I can hold the piece if I need to. And then when I'm done, you use this to set it on top so you can flatten it out. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. All right, so that's one. Let's see how that one turns out. Let's see. what everything's looking like after they've been shrunk down. And again, you can do this in your oven or your toaster oven if you have one. Now we're going to seal them, so you need some tacky glue, craft glue. And you can use Mod Podge if that works better for you. This is a little thicker than Mod Podge, so that's why I'm going to use that one. I got that from my local Dollar Tree. I also picked up these paint brushes from my local Dollar Tree as well. And I'm using a glass cutting mat that I got a couple of weeks ago, so it washes and cleans easily. So what I'm going to do is open up this glue, and let's start with these pieces. I think I'm going to be using this for earrings. Aren't those cute? So I just put a little bit of the glue, and using the paintbrush, just brushing the glue all over the piece so that we can seal it. And then once I am finished doing this, we'll let them dry, and then we're going to add some UV resin to the top. Thinking that I may color the backs so they're not white. May go ahead and decide to paint those black. So you're going to do 2 coats of this glue. Make sure that when you're applying the glue that you apply it in one direction so that you don't have streak marks going all which ways. Okay, so after this dries, we'll go ahead and apply another thin coat of glue, and we'll do it in the opposite direction. So instead of up and down, we'll go right to left. Okay. So make sure it's even and thin. And I hope I'm getting this on camera. Change where my camera was to try and give you guys a better angle, but I think that it's just in the way from what I need to do. Okay. Oh. Oh. Got the dropsies. Okay. That'll just clean up with some soap and water, so I'm not worried about that. Okay. Okay, so we got both of those pieces covered. And that'll provide a seal so that the resin can go on top. And I think I'll just go ahead and that seemed to work out pretty good. Put the glue on the glass cutting mat. And that glass cutting mat is a lifesaver. So I can mix paints and inks and all kind of mediums on here, and the cleanup is super, super easy. Even when I'm using the epoxy or resin, it's much easier to try and clean it up from glass than it is from that plastic that I had before. I still have that mat, and it's up underneath this one, and I still use it, but I think that this glass mat is now my new favorite. It's by We Are Memory Keepers. I have a lot of stuff from We Are Memory Keepers. And I made sure that I used a 60% off coupon that I had. So I try very hard not to have to pay full price for anything. I won't say I'm cheap, but I'm frugal. And if I can get it on sale, I'll wait. I will wait. Now, I have no patience when it comes to glue drying and ink drying and waiting for next steps and all that. I just want to move on and get it done. But if it's about to save me some money, honey, I will wait. All right, we just have one more piece to do. Then I'm going to get this glue cleaned up. Let this layer dry. We'll see if we need to do a second layer or not. This, like I said, glue is thicker than Mod Podge, so I may be okay with just the one. And after that's dried, then we'll go ahead and start getting our resin done. Okay, so my PVC glue has dried. Now what I'm going to do is I have some acrylic paint from Apple Barrel. I got this bottle for a couple dollars from Walmart. Just going to put some of that black paint on the mat. And then what I'm going to do is paint the backs. I don't like that all white. It gets dirty from your fingerprints, from the ink before it dries and all of that. So we're just going to paint them. That'll give the pieces a more finished look. And then once they have dried, then we'll go ahead and we'll put our resin. So just cheap paintbrush, a little bit of paint, just paint the backs and let them dry. Finished curing. This is the front, and here is the back. I love them. They're hard. According to the package, they get 9 times harder once you shrink, and then adding the resin to it has just hardened it even more. But it has also created such a shine and doming effect that it really takes them to the next level, and they look professional. They look really, really good. So here they are. I'm very proud on how they turned out. Now the other pieces I didn't dome, but I did paint the backs of them, and once I decide what I'm going to use them for, then I'll resin these. But I knew right away that I wanted to use these for earrings, so I'm going to add the hardware to them and then package them up, and I have my first completed Christmas gifts of the season. Tell me what you guys think. Do you like this video? Do you think that you may want to try this yourself? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and share with your crafty friends. This is Genoa with a Crafty Mess signing out. Until I see you next time. Bye.